Coming through with the strength in you. Dun 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 dun. Coming through with the strength in you. Hey boo. Hey, coming through with the strength in you. What it do, what it do. Coming through with the strength in you. You made it. Good job. Strength in you. Coming through. Strength in you. Coming through. Hey boo. Coming through with the
Okay, my fault. I was excited. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Happy Monday. Here we are again, another episode of Straight Talk with your girl Strength. Here come my girl Courage, and then my boy Wisdom coming through with the ounce. So let them in. How y'all feeling though this morning? Miss
Good
Courage, how
morning,
are
good
you,
morning, good
honey?
morning. How are you?
I'm blessed by the best. I can't complain, honey. How you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. I'm good.
Ow. Well, let's get our
I'm
king in here.
good.
How you doing, Mr.
What?
Wisdom?
Yo, I'm coming for you live from North Carolina, Burnsville. This is an area called Burns. It's beautiful, but your city boy is scared right now, boy. I was the darkest one here, boy. You know?
he, he do
Woo!
look like he up there kind of scared. Got on a sweater and everything.
I'm surrounded by a whole bunch of white people, y'all. Just saying.
That's what's up. You in the best place to be then. You got some white folks and some black folks. You got all the people you need around you.
I'm covered on all angles.
That's what's So this morning, guys, let me tell y'all right now, we will not have a special guest because that is wait, we're not having a special guest. And that's what led to our topic today, which is adaptation. You have to adapt to situations no matter what they are. So in our case today, we are adapting to nobody coming in. And we're just
Yeah.
going to talk about adapting in life because you have to adapt with everything you do, literally, whether it's in a show like this, whether it's going to the bathroom, how we do with our one hand situation, whether it's a death in the family, you have to adjust to that, whether it's moving to a new place. Basically, my whole thing I'm saying is life is adaptation. That's how we survive. So, what do you guys think about adaptation? Matter of fact, let's ask you first, Junior, since you got to adapt to where you are right now.
Yeah. I had to do some adapting last night. For sure. Like, especially after the day I had in that experience, it was like, in a way, I had to adapt to that mindset. Like, I'm not as strong as I used to be. I can't survive in certain, not survive. I can't handle certain situations the way I used to. So it was a reality check. But coming into North Carolina, um, it's too woody, too woody. Like, I need buildings around me. I need concrete. I need, like, I'm in the jungle right now, and I'm scared. But I had to adapt and meet a whole bunch of new people that I don't know, and um, that in itself is adapting and allowing new people into your life. And I've been fucking. It's gonna be like that today. It's gonna be like that. So
It's all good. That's part of adaptation, and we showing that
Yeah.
you
yeah,
still find a positive light because sometimes when you have to adapt, it makes your anxiety and stress go through the roof.
yes,
So
Yeah.
ma'am.
on that,
Emotions too.
huh?
I said
Your
emotions.
emotions. Yeah.
Oh yeah, your emotions run crazy when you have to adapt to, and sometimes you find yourself going in the corner or in the bathroom and having some tears. Because I've done that a few times. Because I'm just like, what the hell am I? Why am I even here? Should I have did this?
Uh
But
huh.
in
That's how I felt yesterday. Never. I was like, oh, why am I here?
I know. Don't worry, I done shared waterfalls.
good morning, all my
What's
loves,
up,
Jerry,
Gina?
Karen, and Gina. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate you, loves.
Yes, sir.
And what about you, Miss Courage? When it comes to adaptation, what happens to you when you have to adapt? What's your stages?
Waterfall tears. Like, I mean, just as he stated, when you get hit with that, you no longer can be or do what you used to do. That is a big. I mean, many people think that we just go through physical, like
Yeah,
it's. it's not just that. It's overthinking. Every time we have to go somewhere, is it accessible for me? Do you have all these? Is this gonna be right? How is the level? I mean, there's so much overthinking. Even just to walk up to the front door, we done went through maybe 100 different things we thinking about.
Right.
And me, I'm still trying to learn how to adapt. I try not to overthink stuff, but that's a part of my life. I have to make sure that I'm accessible. Will everything be okay? I have to worry about it because I don't need no other injuries.
Right. Like we got enough
You know,
problems.
I don't need
No problem.
For real.
That's facts, but you know what? That ain't even just for us. We just on ones that talk about it or that it's like visible, it's clear that we need certain things to be okay. But I think everybody literally gets somewhere that's new to them and they have a bit of anxiety and it's like, oh my God, what the hell did I get myself into? But
That's
once you
my mindset every time I go to the doctor.
like Frank said, how do I take care of myself when loved ones have passed? I have these questions. Oh, Frank, that is a beautiful question, especially because right now I am dealing with that very thing. I actually just
Yeah, I
lost
was
my
just gonna
uncle
say.
last week, and I have to go and bury him this Thursday. So, one of the ways that I think about and deal with losing loved ones is first, I try to be selfless and remember that the person that passed away is no longer struggling from the burdens of their life, not your life, but people pass away from something and it usually begins somewhere. So that means they've been going through the struggle of the woes of whatever it is they was going through. So the one way I deal with death is I just be selfless and remember they're no longer suffering. And I look at it as I have a new angel watching over me. So I just find positive ways to think about it like that. What about you guys? Courage, how do you deal with death?
Whew, man. I mean, like, death is a part of life. I didn't learn that I can't change it. I can't stress over it. I have to just shed my tears, get it out the way, and just push forward. Now, if it's coming to another side where I guess at the time that I had my stroke, I had the stroke because I ain't claiming it, and I would think about not having my mother here, then that's a whole different story because I feel like if she was here, then my situation would be different. It's hard trying to go through a traumatic situation, not having the one I say my foundation,
Right.
like my
Your
mother, my
backbone.
daddy, or my sister. Yeah, so that's tough because you have to learn how to be your own backbone. You have to get in your mind that hey, if I don't do it, who else gonna do it? Ain't nobody
Right.
gonna do it for me. So you
Right.
have to push yourself.
So to take care of yourself, what do you do?
And that's the mindset. If I don't get up and do it, it ain't no. What am I just gonna give up and just sit here,
Right.
or am I gonna get up and push and get you know regain me back?
So you
There's no
basically
other
fight
choice.
for it. You fight for your happiness. You fight to get up every day, although the person that you
Yes,
love is no longer there. You just fight.
yes, yes.
I
And I
understand that.
think about like my number one is my queen, my mother, and I think about no, she wouldn't want me to do this. And
Right.
I represent her. I'm a reflection of my mother, so I'm letting her down if I just said it because that's not how she raised me.
Right.
Sometimes you have to just go back into what they installed in you.
Right. Absolutely. I love that advice. And what about you, Mr. Wisdom? How do you take
Um,
care of yourself and deal with death?
like Courage was saying, it's a part of life, so it's a little easier to like accept as I've gotten older. Um, and experience it unfortunately more as we get older. We experience death more and more and more. Um, but you have to stay strong. If you're capable of that, you have to stay strong, right? Because there's some of us out there that aren't as strong mentally and can't
Mm,
handle situations like that. So I tend to like get lost in trying to take care of everybody else. And then when I have like alone time, I process and accept and kind of grieve a little bit. And it's okay to cry and get your emotions out.
mm,
But just staying strong is how I deal with it. Keeping busy. It's not the healthiest sometimes. Um,
no.
but it's so far so good with me. You know, who knows about 10 years from now, or who knows when God forbid it's gonna happen. But when I lose my parents, that's gonna be a different kind of grief for me
Right.
than like losing a friend. You
Mm,
know, I haven't lost anyone really really close to me like that yet. Thank God. But you know, it's gonna come that day when I get that call like your mom's not here anymore, and you know, mentally getting ready for that. It's gonna be like you said, adapting to life. Constantly is evolving and changing around you, and if you're not willing to adapt, you're kind of gonna get lost behind. You know, you're gonna get
Right.
left behind.
Yeah.
you
Other
have to.
things, huh?
I'm a. I'm gonna. What you say? Piggyback off of that. And he made the statement that you keep yourself busy.
Yeah.
You have to. You really have to be careful with that because in my mind, I feel like that's the reason that I'm in this. I had this trauma is because I didn't want to face the hurt that I felt from losing my sister, my mother. You got to understand, I lost my sister in 2010. Turned
Yeah.
around in 2014, I lost my mama. A month after my mother, I get a call saying my daddy passed at the dialysis.
Mm.
So you have to be careful about, because while I was going through all that, I was working. Let me go get this second job so I won't have to sleep because I can't deal with just sitting and grieving and mourning. That I would rather just go to work and just exhaust myself until I just fall asleep where I didn't have to think about it.
Right.
And you have to be very careful about that because me doing that to my body is what led to having a stroke,
Stress.
stress, and going into depression and not being able to capture it. Not even, because sometimes you could be walking and you think you fine, not knowing that you in a depression stage.
Right.
To
Absolutely.
you feel like you okay. And
Hmm.
this is the time that, hey, if it's something on your chest, reach out and talk to somebody. Reach
Right.
out, go play something fun. Don't just get into something that's causing more stress or you're not relaxing because that
Right.
leads to other problems.
The
And
first
I
thing
just want to address that.
the
Right.
first thing people got to be willing to do is you can't be afraid to call a thing a thing. If you're hurting, admit that. If you
Mm,
need, a shoulder to cry on or whatever, admit that. Like, don't hold that to yourself because that will kill you. That is the biggest burden anybody can put on their own life. As people, we need people. Like, I'm just a believer of that. So I feel
yeah.
like when you lost somebody that's close to you, it's important that you let somebody know, hey, I need love right now. I'm hurt. You know what I'm saying? And adapt to that situation. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
like Junior was talking about with keeping busy, it's good to keep busy with stuff like exercise because then you can actually listen to your
Yeah.
body when it's telling you, hey, I need a break. But you're still, I guess, you're still moving forward and trying to reach that
Yeah.
next plateau with your emotions and your physical. So you kind of get a two
Mhm.
for one bonus when you do stuff like that. So that's just
Because
kind of
in my case, like sitting and thinking about it, like I'm not like moving on, right? So
right,
like you know, I tend to overthink a lot of situations anyway. So being alone and not keeping myself busy is more of a detriment than me keeping busy and doing what I got to do. because then at least I'm moving, like you were saying, and moving forward.
Right. Yeah, and
Plus,
another
I
form
mean,
of
you have
movement ain't even physical. Like you can just even go journal. That's a form of movement. And it's actually helping your brain get rid of those thoughts that's keeping you captured or holding you hostage, if you will. Journaling
Yeah,
is real good. And that's a way to
yeah,
get past loved ones and just adapt to literally any situation you're going through. Write about it. Because when you get it out, it does something different than keeping it in. That's that silent killer that creep up on you.
yeah.
yep. We don't know about that
You have
silent
to
killer, y'all.
grieve. You have to grieve. You can't run from it. You have to get it out. You can't run from grieving, from having that moment. It's okay to say, hey, I need this moment to myself or just to get it out. You
Right.
can't you try to run from it, you ain't doing nothing but hurting yourself.
Hmm.
That's where adaptation come in at though, you know? That is
Yeah.
part of adapting. You grieve about it and then you pick yourself up, straighten your crown and remember what you've already accomplished. And knowing that you can't stop accomplishing unless you stop trying. So as long as you keep trying, you're gonna always elevate,
Yeah,
even with getting through deaths. As long as you're trying every day, it'll get better and better.
Yeah.
absolutely.
Like you
Yes,
say, you just learn to adapt.
I mean, literally everything is adaptation. Like the way we put on our clothes is adaptation. The way you talk to some people, you have to adapt because you don't talk to a child the same way you talk to an adult. You don't talk to your homies the same way you talk to your boss. So, I mean, everything we do literally requires us to adapt. Everything. Because when you go to the bathroom, I don't know if you like me, but in public places, I'm a squatter. I'm not sitting on the toilet. So I'm adapting to the situation. You know what I'm saying? So, what's some other things you can talk about wisdom that you adapt in? What are some adapting things for you?
Like this whole life that we live now is I'm like 11 months in. It hasn't been like a couple of years for me where I can like I'll say accepted it all the way. Like I'm constantly adapting and learning how to do things a different kind of way. Like I lived my life a certain way for 34 years, and over this last year, I've had to adapt and change a lot. About how I talk, how I eat, how I talk to people, how I treat other people. My life is constantly, in the state of adaptation right now. So, um, some of the ways I've been able to deal with it, and not all changes are going to be easy and an easy transition. Like I've struggled with some of these changes. I've struggled to adapt to some of these changes, but um, I try to stay positive at the end of the day. Like there's no point in being negative. Um, I feel like if you choose to be negative, it's counterintuitive and counterproductive to the end game, which is all accepting change and being able to, grow from that. So, um, it's a situation where, like I said, like I'm in a constant state of adaptation and, um, learning how to like accept and grieve your loved one or your old self. In our case, right? Like we grieve constantly. Something will remind you of, oh, that's how I used to do this or that,
Yeah,
and or an old picture, whatever it is, comes up on your timeline. You're like, oh, I remember that day. Like, we take
Mhm.
things like for granted sometimes in our old
right.
life. Um, I think now I'm much more like adapting to the sense of like um I'm much more flexible with certain things. Like okay, like it's not an end all be all for me like I used to be.
Right.
Um, I'm much more negotiable now than I. That's a good word. Um, than I used to be. Right.
It's
So
stand
um, I'm just like I said, constantly staying positive helps with these changes in your life. And I know that's harder said than done. Um, but if you have it in you to be positive, be positive. It's so much easier.
Right. It takes the same effort to be positive that it does to be negative. But to piggyback off of what you was talking about, because you mentioned one thing that I wanted to touch on just for a second, and you talked about adapting how you talk to people, and I wanted to touch on that because as trauma survivors, a lot of times we have underlying anger that we don't even realize we have, and we project it to the
Mm-hmm.
people around us. And it is important that you are vigilant of who you are and be willing to take a step back and learn where to put that aggression. Because sometimes we're just mad at the situation and don't realize when somebody asks us something that we're snappy.
Yeah,
So that's huge.
yeah. Like I've learned. I messed up a couple of situations in relationships early on because I was so mad at like my new life that I was leading that it was really hard to like take any kind of criticism, right? Like, if oh, you should probably shouldn't do it that way. Like, you haven't walked a mile in my shoes. Like, you can't sit here and tell me how to do things. But it was like I was so mad. I had that underlying aggression that I wasn't able to like rationalize. Like, oh, that person is just being critical. It's okay. Like, take some criticism. Like you don't have to snap at everything.
Right.
And learning how to accept those changes is harder than it's easier said than done, like I said earlier. But at the end of the day, as long as you're willing to one accept, two stay positive, and three realize that change is part of life. Like nothing stays the same forever. Like
Absolutely.
I started this show as a guest, and now I'm permanently on it. I have to adapt my mindset. I'm like now I'm part of the straight talk, So um show others what doing. Be the example, right? Um, if you don't like the way something's getting done, you do it. You change it. Change the mindset of other people, so that way they can adapt their thinking. And instead of you walking around, oh, do this, do that, do this, lead by example, and
Right.
then others will follow.
Absolutely. And it's important to have ownership and accountability. A lot of times, as trauma survivors, we take our traumas and want to wear it like it's a badge. Like, I'm a stroke survivor. Oh, I've been molested. Oh, I've been this and I've been that. I was a druggie, but don't nobody really care. You know what I'm saying? Like, you got to have ownership and accountability for the things you do and say. So when you're wrong, own that shit. Own it. Because I'm trying to do better. Okay, so I'm owning it. I'm
Woo!
cussing.
Talking about adapting to the way you talk to people. Wow.
That was a prime example, though. That's it falls out your mouth, and then you have ownership. Like, oop, my bad. I'm sorry. So I'm sorry,
Yeah,
y'all.
you
But
gotta own that. It's on the
Okay.
internet
Thank
forever
you.
now. You ruined it.
Courage is finally back. Her internet is being janky, but we're gonna work with it, girl. We're gonna make it do what it do, boo.
I thought I was gonna have that problem in the sticks. I'm having better connection than anything. It's crazy.
That's because
Yes,
nature
it's
was
just
like, this needs to be said. Nature is just on our side right now because it know we're
that's what
positive
it is.
life.
So this has been acting up all more. As soon as the show got ready to start, it just started doing all kinds of stuff.
So they're trying to prevent you from giving your message, but the devil just always busy. We're gonna make sure that no matter how
Yes,
many
he
times you fall
is.
out, we're gonna let you back in because your message will be delivered no matter what. Anywho, but no, for real. Part of being a part of having a adaptation is accountability. Because when you can have accountability for your situation, like for me, and I'm just using me as an example because I can't talk about nobody else except myself. And when it came to my stroke, before my stroke, I knew I had high blood pressure, and the doctors gave me medicine, but they kept switching it. So I was like, I don't want to be nobody's guinea pig, so I'm not gonna
Yeah.
take nothing. So I was stupid, and then life happened, and I had a stroke. But I had to own that part, and hold myself responsible for the part I played in it, and say, you know what, I'm adapt to the life that I got, and that's why I choose to live the way I do with light and positivity as best as I can. Although it don't always come easy, like Junior said, easier said than done. But when you have ownership, you can do that because you're gonna speak that life and that realness into yourself. What
I,
Junior is always wearing something, Karen. He
I
be on
had to, I
that.
had to, I had to just. I don't get to wear my sweatshirts often, right? So when I had an opportunity, she was like, "Bring a sweatshirt." I was like, "Done," because I have a whole collection that I can't wear in Florida because it's too hot, So I
Frank
wear my
said,
favorite one, and it's Outcast. So I was just, shout out Outcast, you know.
shout out
Okay.
Outcast. Okay, we don't care, Outcast. We love you. But anyway, Frank wants to know if
Listen, I
any
was
of
a
you
doc.
had hand or forearm surgery. If so, what's the name of it? Oh, I did, Frank. You always ask the questions that I got the answer to. It's called the tendon lengthening surgery. I don't know if you can see my scar. Can y'all see my scar?
Not really.
Not really. I'm trying. Stroke problems.
Listen, don't
That's
hurt
because I
yourself.
heal well, but
Still here, like doing the camel clutch.
okay, but listen, though, it's called a tendon lengthening surgery. And because my hand was contorted all weird, the tendon lengthening surgery helped my wrist be more flexible. And now my fingers are straight. But they overdid it, and now they straight, and I can't grip. But I grip like this now, but I don't care because it's less painful. So again, adaptation to the situation, making it do what it do, boo, with the strength in you.
Coming through.
uh,
Well, I
quick
haven't
side
had
note.
any surgery.
Quick, yeah, me either. Well, quick side note. When the intro started for the show, I was like, "Oh, I made that! I made that!"
What?
So like,
Oh,
we're official now.
so
We're
just
official
everybody
now.
know who watched our intro, and for those who gonna be here for the outro, props to Junior, Mr. Wisdom. He did that. So if y'all need somebody to do what you do, how you make them do, holla at your boy. It ain't free though, so don't be trying to get no freebies.
You gotta make donation.
Right?
It's my OnlyFans.
No, but real talk,
But
y'all.
yeah,
Listen,
I'll
everything
edit.
in your
I'll edit
life.
some crazy shit for you.
What?
I say I'll edit like a video. Ooh, I could.
Hey, Ada or Ida.
Hi.
He said hi. Okay, Karen, let's talk, baby. We'll talk. Girl, let's talk. Now, y'all know I'm
Don't you
crazy.
have girl talk on Thursday or Friday?
We had girls talk last week. They missed it, but we're gonna have another one next month. We're gonna make this a thing.
Okay.
But
Was it good?
it was
What?
dope.
Oh.
Look, he on this show asking
Look,
about girl talk.
I know her.
Listen, I wanted to make sure that you guys had like there's a male version of Girl Talk called Men
Look,
Talk this Friday, so I wanted to give a plug. That's all.
shout out for Gat Talk that's coming this Friday. You are absolutely right. And before his Gat Talk start, y'all join us that morning for a little support group, and we're gonna do what it do, like we do, how we do.
That's the word of the day. Do what we do, how we do it, baby.
That's it, right?
I'm
Ow.
sneaking in. I'm sneaking in.
But I want y'all to remember the whole point of this whole show today only for now, is the reminder that everything in your life is about adaptation, dealing with loved ones, dealing with spouses, dealing with kids, dealing with trauma, dealing with life. Everything that we do in this world is adaptation because, as Junior said, nothing in this world is the same. It's not it's not permanent. Everything is changed.
Mhm.
So you have to adapt because that's the only thing that's constant. That's the word I was looking for. Constant.
Yeah. And like honestly, like if you don't adapt, like you get left behind and you become one of these people that, back in my day, but, it's barbecue out here, so like this smoke is like. But anyway, and I used to be guilty of that back in my day, and I'm 35 years old. I shouldn't be talking like that. But really, if you don't
You
adapt, change is constant, like you said. Like it's gonna always change. And if you're not willing to adapt and evolve with that change, you're gonna get left behind.
Absolutely. What do you feel about that, Trina?
Well, I mean, it's this world is adapt. You have to adapt to the way this world period is changing. So adaptation is coming every day. You don't know what you're facing or what might just happen. So
Right.
to me, it's like
That word.
me personally. When I adapt to something, I think adaptation is like we leaders, inventors. We find different ways to do stuff,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what, going through this journey. That's was one thing that it amazed me. Just to see how I invented different ways to do stuff, to get stuff done.
Mm-hmm.
And to think like, because it was always doing it a certain way, how other people do it. This is the right way. So now it's like, no, that's not the right way. I do it my way. And who's to say what's right and what's wrong?
Right.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's a totally different way of looking at stuff, looking at things. And when you learn a different way to do something, I be like, you know what? I just did that, girl. You just did that. You done figured this out. Listen, always another way to do so. I had to pat myself on the back. I was like, yes, yes, I did that, baby.
You ain't lying. This is a sense of empowerment. You feel real good. Like you feel
Yeah.
like you are unstoppable when you learn to adapt to something that you thought you couldn't quite figure out, but then you took that step back and just kind of woo-sawed it out and was like, let me think of how I could do this. And then when you really do it, it's like, oh my God, I did it.
Mm-hmm. And to
Mm-hmm.
piggyback
And then
of
when
what
you
you
don't
guys
have
just
to
said,
ask nobody.
Huh,
yeah,
wait, what y'all say?
I was
I let Junior go.
My stroke started
I was
itching. I was like, what?
too many voices. Um, I was trying to piggyback on what y'all said. I had so bad, I forgot. Oh my god.
You know what?
I legit, like, I was like, oh, I had a good point. And then she was talking, and I talked, and then you came in, and my stroke was like, you know, and I
Your
was like,
stroke
I
was like,
forgot
I'm
what I
about
was
to
going to
go to the
say.
store. I'll be back.
Why am I here? You know?
Right. You know, I'm not about to play. Y'all making me have to pee.
This is not the show for that,
Hey,
and that's
hey,
fine.
This
But
is not the show for that. No trip.
reminder. Today is Monday, not
Hey, talk
Wednesday.
about it. I gotta pee.
anyway, so I came back to me what I was gonna say. Um, dealing with all these. Oh my god, what is going on?
Dad's been here for hours. I'm sorry.
I'm doing a show. Oh, anyway, yo, for like 2 minutes, it was just like dead air. Me looking at everybody like I want to stop. I was like, keep going. But
Keep
what I
on.
was gonna say was that adapting is like we mentioned earlier, it's easier said than done, right? But being able to accept that that's part of life is is a certain skill that you acquire as you get older, right? So like learning how to like do certain things, and it's okay to take a step back. That's what I was going to say. So great. It's okay to take a step back and to kind of realize, okay, how can I approach this differently, right? So the definition of insanity is trying to do the same thing over and over and over, expecting a different result. And it's okay to like kind of step back and be like, I can't do it this way, but how can I approach it this way? So learning to adapt to that mindset equals results at the end of the day because
Karen laughing at me.
no, well, we can,
But
but you missed it. Like everybody was walking out, and then I'm looking at them, and they all stopped, and I'm like, "You just see me doing this, for 2 minutes," and I'm like, "Go," and they're like, "Oh, like why? You see me talking, like why you stopping?" You know,
Again, adaptation at its finest.
I'm telling you, I miss my little behind me the play on thing. I miss my chair. Learning to adapt to doing this show on the road has been an experience. I will say that.
Look at
How was your pee?
look. I was going to say, adapting to trying to run to this pee. There's a box in my hallway. I tripped over it.
Uh-uh.
I would
Luckily,
have loved to see
that leg swung
that.
out so fast. That
But
leg swung out so fast, like I got you, girl.
and I was gonna say I love you wanna jump on this with me, Joy. But while you were gone, I kind of remember what I was gonna say, and it's learning to when you learn to adapt. It's okay to like take a step back and realize,
Mhm.
how can I change the way I'm approaching this? And
Right,
that's perfectly fine. Like not going through, trying to do the same thing over and over and over. You can drive yourself crazy. So if it's not working, take a step back, like think about it, and then go at a different approach. Learn to adapt.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Miss Ida said we have to
I
learn to
personally
adapt,
learned
or
that.
we would do nothing, and we survive for a reason. I absolutely believe that, honey. There is a purpose for our pain. Never give in to giving up. Can't, can't, never will. Oh man, my bladder feel better.
I
First
think
of all,
That's good.
I learned that by going back to therapy,
huh?
by me going back into therapy. That the
Okay,
some, to go back. At first, I was like, "Oh, I'm back at step one," and but I'm realizing now that I needed that. I needed to go back because it's some things that I didn't catch on to. Because for one, the steps of recovery. That number one, that anger. If you're not over there, you don't really accept everything that or gain everything that you should the first round. So sometimes you have to go back through.
Yeah.
And so
mm-hmm.
now it's like, wow, oh, I'm walking a whole lot better now because I'm more accepting to therapy. Now I'm ready to hear what they have to say because at
Right,
first I was so angry. You can't tell. I know how to walk, and you know, this is just temporarily. I'll be
right.
fine next week.
That's what I thought too.
So,
You was lying.
yep, I'm gonna be back at work in 2 weeks.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's because we didn't understand what stroke was. But you make a valid point
yeah,
about therapy because people think if you go back to therapy, you're starting at the beginning. But you got to remember, every time you go back, it's something new you learning because you
mhm,
wasn't in that mind frame at first. Because I know when I first started therapy, my cognitive skills couldn't even process you wanting me to lift a knee and try to
yeah,
go. I couldn't get there, but over these past 8 years, I think I've been to therapy like 5 times. And I'm planning on going back again because every time I get something new, I gain something better. And like you said, you're more accepting to what they're trying to teach you because you know that they're that for you. So it's an empowering experience. Junior, do you still do therapy or do you intend on going back?
No, I'm still doing therapy. I took a little break. So because the money ran out, and then I have insurance, right?
Right.
So, um, when I first had the stroke, I was taking therapy because, like, I figured in my head, like, a couple of months of this, I'll be fine. Like, I had to learn how to accept that this is going to be something I deal with the rest of my life, you know? And, and I did therapy for a while, but then the money ran out, and I kind of did my own therapy. I kind of worked out by myself, and I recently started therapy, but I'm already ahead of where I was before. Because, like you said, like you gain something new every single time. So I was more excited about going back to therapy this round, because I was like, I wonder what I could do where I'm at, and it's kind of like that curiosity, that
Right.
excitement,
Mhm.
I couldn't do this before. Now I know I can do this, and
Mhm.
like keep keep motivated. Like I know that's harder, right, to do. Easier said than done. That's the word of the day. But when you keep working at things, like your body, you like instinctually realize like your body is like trying to adapt, right? Like we didn't
Yep.
shoot like by from my brain to this muscle, and it shoot like that. Now I have to take a different path. So as
Right.
we do things, our pathways in our brain to our muscles in our body finds that the brain is a powerful thing, and if we learn to adapt, going back to that word, is so prevalent today. But if we learn to adapt, um, our brain is gonna adapt as well. So like, I think
Mhm.
it's a lot of it's like mind over matter. A lot of the times, like to be honest, like not to talk ish, but like those people who kind of accept, oh, this is how I am, and what's the point in trying to work harder and get to a different place? Like I'll tell you this quick story. So when I started therapy the first time, um, I tried to I did a peg test, right? I'm pretty sure all strokes are. I've done it. You put take these pegs, put it in a hole, and then you take it out with your affected hand.
Yeah.
When I first did it, it was like a minute and 12 seconds, right? And I did it recently. In 6 weeks of me practicing working hard, I knocked that number down to 41 seconds. That's like
That's what's
30
up.
seconds.
Good job.
In 6 weeks, my brain found a way to kind of do it faster without me like trying. Like I wasn't like, oh, like that wasn't a goal of mine. But my
Yep.
body just like with adaptation, with repetition, uh
Practice.
your body gets to like, okay, well, we can't do it at this quick, but we can do it this quick. So
Love you.
work.
Love
Love you
you
too,
too.
Jennifer. Uh, but yeah, learning to adapt, right? Your brain will learn to adapt as well.
But you know what? You see that word adapt is just so real, and it
That-
makes you even adapt is the same is with practice. And I said that together because you just made me think about something because you was talking about how you got better and better the more you was doing it and putting in that hard work. And that just goes to show literally when I say everything, even being positive takes practice. It don't come easy. You have to speak positivity in your life. You have to do those words of affirmation. And everything we do takes practice. If you want to break cycles from your childhood and you don't like the way you were raised, you have to practice doing new things that you wasn't taught because it's all new to not only your brain but that what's it called muscle memory. So everything you do you have to practice. Like it sounds crazy when I say everything, but I mean even everything, even getting that good squat on that toilet. You miss a few times until you learn how to get like for real, for real.
No, that's real talk.
So everything is practice. Like when we first learned how to swallow again, we choked a lot of times trying to get that water down our
Yep.
throat because we didn't know what we was doing. But the
Yep.
more we practice, the better it got. You know what I mean? So I mean,
Perfect example. Just when I went to go take a shower yesterday, right?
uh
Like
huh,
I had done it by like normal safety guideline. Like I didn't have my seat. I didn't have my bars or whatever thing safety bars. It was a
Mhm.
regular old tub. I had to learn to adapt. I mean, I'm gonna take a shower, right? I'm not gonna go the whole vacation without taking a shower.
right,
So
Mhm.
learning how to adapt, and thank God, I was able to practice how to take a shower standing and certain things like that. Because I wouldn't be able to take a shower here safely if I didn't practice and learn to
right.
adapt to my surroundings. So that's another perfect example right there.
That is a perfect
Yeah.
example because you're not always at home. You're not always in a position where you can do what you're used to doing. So now you got to figure out how can I make this happen. And back you mentioning that made me think about when I first had my stroke and I wasn't able to stand in the tub and I hadn't had bars and all this stuff in my bathroom. But I got to my mother-in-law house and she really didn't have nothing for me. So I was like, what the hell am I gonna do? But we got a big towel and we laid it out and I stood on that.
Mhm.
That alarm, y'all, is time for the question and answer of the day. We're gonna keep talking about this other stuff, but if you guys have any questions or anything you want to ask us right here on the show, you can
Guys, call us. We're lonely. Call us.
you can call us or you can text us, whatever is best for you. But the numbers is right there, guys. Give us a call if you got any questions you want answers right now on the show within this 15-minute period. Don't call us after the show over.
Because we liable not to pick up the phone.
But no,
We
literally,
might be.
everything. What you saying, Trina?
I was gonna say because after the show, ain't no telling. I might have been and fell asleep right here. I would think when you say sometimes you have to go and just squat over the toilet. I remember one time I did that. I just laid my head on the toilet tissue roll and just took a nap.
Trina, that's hilarious. Wait a minute. I know one thing when I
Like,
first
oh,
tried this, before I realized that I had to adapt to life because when I first had the stroke, I still hadn't processed that I had a stroke and that my body didn't work the same. So when I first tried to go take that squat, I pissed on the whole floor.
Yeah.
you missed it completely.
I had to wipe my leg off. It was a struggle.
Uh-uh.
But then my point is, you got to adapt in life, and you laugh
Yeah.
about you laugh about your setbacks because you remember that you're human, and that's just a part of life. You have no setback that you can't get back, especially if
Yeah.
you choose to be positive and think about it in that way.
Well,
This
I didn't.
insurance only paying based on your ability to keep you progressing, and sometimes it's a slow progress, and then you have to adapt to the fact that if you
You didn't finish taping, Miss Carter.
she ain't lying though because I got kicked out of therapy because they was like, yeah, your insurance passed and blah 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 blah. That's what led me to the gym because I was like, you're not gonna tell me that I'm done recovering. I'm about to start doing it for
Mhm.
myself. So the stuff that they taught me in therapy is what I apply to my life. So and sometimes it comes
If
easy,
we
and
do
other
this.
times. What you finna say,
Oh,
Jay?
yeah. No, I was reading a
Well,
comment.
uh, therapy. I
Yeah,
got
it's
kicked out
true.
of therapy. Um, it's sad that and that'll be a whole nother topic because it's sad that you have to go and research information that should be given to you right when you leave the hospital, just in case if you can't afford therapy. Because in reality, they say the quicker you get into therapy, the better chance of recovery, a percentage, correct?
Right.
But
That's what they say, yeah.
if you have to wait, but then they say you telling me that, but at the same time, here it is, Medicare, 2 years. You have to be disabled 2 years before you get it. So you is taken from before you even get insurance, your chances of fully recovery has been taken down. Then when you finally get into therapy, you get 2 or 3 months. Oh well, we got to put you out of therapy so until that cycle come back around to be referred back out into therapy. It's just a whole. Sometimes you just be like, you know what, I'm over it.
You
I'm
know
just
what?
over it.
It pissed me off at first, but at the same time, the further I get in my recovery, the more I understand why they do that. And I think
Yeah.
they do that to make sure that the person that they're paying for is serious about their own recovery. Because as a lot of times people with trauma get into these programs, but they don't put in that effort, that hard work. They like you said, they still angry, so they can't hear what this therapist is trying to tell them to do or want them to do, and they're not going to accept it because they're not there yet. So I think that they give you a certain amount of time and then they kind of kick you out. Like, let me give them a break and let's see if they come back to see if they really, really want it. So that's just my thought behind it. But I feel like, wait a minute, what she said? Yes, then I started doing my own therapy and I saw Joy on Facebook Live. And that really helped encourage me to contribute on my never giving up. Thank you, boo.
You correct, because that's where I was until I seen Joy with her leg up on the wall stretching, and I was like, wait a minute. I had to stop on Facebook, and I was like, okay, I see this ain't gonna end well. This ain't. And the more I started watching Joy, it was like, you know what? Let me get up off this bed, because I know if she can do all this, I can do all this. So I was like, forget therapy. I'm just gonna start figuring this stuff out on my own.
I know
Yeah.
that.
And that's what I say. Going back into therapy now, because at first, the first day therapy, he was like, this second time around, he was like, your hip bone is not as strong as it should be. And I'm like, now I ain't never heard that. So now I find myself every time I stand up, I start stretching this hip bone, girl. I be pop locking it, doing my little side to side like he told me.
You
And
notice
now
she
it's
didn't
making
say
me
drop
walk
it.
more straighter. Huh? What you say?
You notice she didn't say drop it because you wouldn't get up.
What he say, George? See, I'm going in and out. I was going in and out. So I couldn't.
Tell him what you said, Junior. Speak up, sir.
What he say? Don't he say?
He stopped laughing because he crazy.
I said, you notice she didn't say drop it, right? She said hop and lock it, and didn't say drop it. I said she's a stroke survivor, so if she would have went down, she probably wasn't going to get back up.
So y'all,
hey, it won't be coming to the
That was funny. I don't care who you are. That was funny.
That was funny. I see she didn't say drop it because she would have got stuck.
She would have been like,
But believe it or not, Julia, for your information, I can still drop it.
Okay, I ain't mad at you, girl. I'm just saying.
You got Jerry crying laughing.
I knew you were gonna come for me. That's why the internet went out.
Right.
You wanted to tell? you wanted to tell? I got you a surprise. Come on, let me get one in.
Let me get one in because I got you a surprise. See, you got to adapt to people. See how y'all got to adapt to people because they think because they do something for you that they get to clown you a little bit.
I got 2 boxes of zebra cakes, bro. Give me one.
He got me 2 boxes of zebra cakes.
She's still winning. 1 joke, two boxes.
So we are here to remind you guys that we know it's a struggle. Nobody ever said it's gonna come easy, but it's definitely worth it. And you just have to adapt to whatever cards that this life throws at you, because that's what life does. It throws cards at you that you wasn't intending on playing. So don't renege on your hand. We all know about spades. Don't renege. Be honest about what is and play your hand to win. Because you are a winner and you can achieve your dreams. You just have to adapt to whatever it is that come your way. I believe in that.
And I wanna add, I haven't done this in a couple of weeks, but I do have a quote for you guys today. And it goes, everything you ever wanted, everything you ever wanted is on the other side of fear. Fear.
I like that quote. Because you got to step past your fear to get to your success. I'm gonna
need that written so I can remember it.
I'll text you. I got you.
Okay.
Daddy got you.
Come about Daddy got you. Wrong show. Y'all see it?
I forgot my pimp cane.
You
I
reel you
forgot my
back
pimp
in.
cane.
Let me reel
I
you
get
back.
Oh, we got
okay.
one. We got one.
And also find you some friends that's gonna laugh with you, cry with you, and push through with you.
They ain't got to
So when
find
you say,
right here, strength, courage, and wisdom.
yeah.
Come holler at
Well, here
us
we go.
Friday. We all the things you need. Because some people don't like to go out the house. They still scared of the Rona. So that's cool.
That's
If you
me.
have to go out the house, just know we virtually here just for you. Don't ever be afraid to hesitate. I mean, don't ever be afraid to reach out to us and let us
I
know
was
what
like,
it is you need.
hesitate.
Stroke brain, okay?
Yeah, we've had to adapt to the way our brains are working today for sure.
You talking about today? That's every day. We are
Well,
always
true,
adapting.
but like today especially, like it's an episode of adaptation, right? Like all the way around, in every sense of the word. My location, your location. I mean, we still have half Courage's head. You know, has it been
Find me,
narrow the whole time?
Huh?
find me.
Has Courage's image been up and
Oh,
down
he
the
just
whole time?
makes me sick.
He telling you to.
Why are you bringing
So
back?
while
Why
we
are
telling
He
you
y'all
makes
to
me
bringing
adapt,
sick.
we
He
also
makes
hope
me
we put some smiles on
sick.
y'all faces because they crazy this morning. We're sending you. This is how you starting your Monday with us, with joy and happiness and love and inspiration and positivity. And we're hoping that the rest of your week continues this way. And then you finish off your week with a little support group with strength, courage, and wisdom. And we send you off into
Hey,
your weekend with the same energy that we're sending you off into your week with. Yes, Hunty.
Woo! Yo, Joy, when you get going, right? Like it's like you like you. When you get going, it's something beautiful to see. It's something beautiful to see.
You know I can't stop when I get going. I be ready. I be
I know. I was like, when you guys are going to see the outro, if you watch the end, I was like, Joy, come up with something nice to say. And she sent me a whole paragraph. I was like, I can't use
yep.
this.
I was like, go, Joy. Go, Joy.
y'all know my inner pastor be kicking in, and I be having to hit you with the positivity of love and the positivity of light and the positivity of strength. No.
You see, I was gonna do that. I was gonna do that, but I thought I was insensitive. So I'm glad you did
You know what? I just, ooh.
it.
So
I
again,
was
y'all
like,
remember everything takes practice. Julia crazy.
You can't help but to love him. But
Can't do
sometimes you
nothing
just
but
want
love. He crazy. But no, before I do my spiel, since I'm the one who talk a lot, Courage, you want to leave the people with something to remind them to adapt and to practice at everything they do?
just, man, every day is practice. Without practice, you can't reach your goals. And someone told me the other day, as long as you keep trying, you can't never fail. It's
I
no
yo,
such thing.
that's pretty deep, Courage.
That's, that's what this. And I was like, wow.
That's my job.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I will leave y'all with this. If nobody showed you I love you today, we love you. And stay strong and stay positive, and learn how to change.
We
Absolutely.
love you.
And I'm going to leave you guys with, of course, remember when you're down, there's nowhere else to go but up. Wear your crown with pride. Put that lantern inside your crown and turn that joint up. Let that light radiate over your body and let anything that's negative bounce off you. Remember, you are worth it, and anything worth having will be a little bit hard, but you can handle it. We believe in you. You got that strength in you. Never give in to giving up on you, and know that you're loved by the best. We love
Woo!
you.
Bye, everybody.
Don't forget, always adapt to your life.